It really?
This is
You went live?
Broadcast.
Oh, hello,
We're
YouTube.
Hey, YouTube. I'm Anthony Denu.
Oh, and I'm Kyle McKeown.
And
Thanks
this is
for. Go ahead, man. Apparently you're the main host.
Yeah.
We didn't really have this conversation. Apparently.
This is a good pilot segment.
All right, let's do this. Since this is the first episode, why don't you do what you would say to open the show, and then I'll do what I would say to open the show. You should definitely pull back the cameras, though.
Pull back? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I see what you're saying here.
Yeah.
All right. It's all a work in progress over here.
Need people to be able to see Rip Hamilton back there.
Very important. And I need people to see where I'm located at in Portland.
Very important.
Very important.
GPS references.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm Anthony Denu. I'm hanging out with Kyle McKeown, and we have the Morning Hoops podcast. It's all about basketball, right, Kyle?
That was pretty terrible. I guess I had a route old school kind of hello to open the podcast. Whoops, that's my chest. God, I wasn't wearing a shirt underneath this hoodie. All right, anyways. Hello, welcome to the Morning Hoops podcast. I'm Kyle McKeown. You can find me on Twitter at RotoKyleNBA. And I'm joined today by the same guy I'm always joined by, because this is the first time I'm joined by Anthony Denu, who you can find on Twitter at what?
At Anthony Denu.
Okay, cool. His friends call him Frony. You can call him Anthony.
That's right. Okay, so here's what we're here to talk about. This is our pilot, and we wanted to talk a little bit about Carmelo Anthony. Earlier today, he signed with the Portland Trail Blazers, where I'm located.
You know, that we do want to talk about that, but I guess something we should probably tell people is who the heck we are. I work for basketballmonster.com. I've worked in the fantasy sports industry for about 10 years now. I do writing. I do projections for fantasy basketball. And I used to host a podcast called the Daily Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I used to host the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I founded both of those. And this is one that I hope that Anthony and I can turn into like an after night, 5 days a week, post NBA show. You know, the games get done for the night. People need a show to watch that they can go to that is up-to-date information about all the games that just finished that night. You know, tons of people, as I've learned working with Josh and Matt from at Basketball Monster, who are both from Australia, there are fans all around the world, and a lot of them the games are on during their work day. So having a podcast after the games end would be great, but unfortunately a lot of the I don't want to say the most tuned in fans, but a lot of the content is generated out of America since it's an American sport. And, as far as like ESPN and all the big names, they don't have a late night NBA show that I think appeals to the uber fan. I think they can appeal to a lot of the casual fans, but those of us who are into the nitty gritty details of the day to day and really want to talk about the league with a ton of detail, that's not there. And that's what we hope to provide, is a conversation that allows us to get into the nitty gritty about a lot of things, but also try to do it in a fun way. Sorry, that was verbose.
Absolutely. I think you did a great job of describing kind of it was a good mission statement, I think, that you just put out there. And another thing that you won't find much of is also the potential fantasy input and interaction with fans as we do the show, which could be a big aspect as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we want to stream to YouTube as we're doing now. We want to stream to Twitter sometimes, and we're going to look to go across different formats, different platforms, and interact with people in all the different ways that you can around NBA content. For the most part, we're going to be doing an after games show every single night so that it's something for people who get done with the games. They need to wind down a little bit. They need something that's going to be fun. They need to get an outlet for all the crap that they just witnessed in an awesome NBA slate where every single night, even when stuff that doesn't happen on the floor is worthy of conversation, like what we had today with we're all sitting there watching games in the evening, and then there's a Woj bomb, and it's Carmelo Anthony signs with the Portland Trailblazers. So that's what we're really here to talk about, Anthony. And I guess, what do you think about Carmelo being back in the NBA in general?
So before we get there, let's talk about the delivery of this news. Do you think that was by design in any way where, you got minimal games? Most people are tuned into the games of the week on TNT Thursday night, and the Woj bomb happens. Do you think this was by design at all to kind of, I don't know, stir up a news story or get something going for the Blazers, even just to shake them up internally, just from the outside, and not just by Carmelo himself, but the sheer absurdity of it all, I guess.
I can definitely see the idea that, say, Portland had this all figured out yesterday, and they were just thinking like, look, it's Carmelo. We want to try and do a little bit of the ballyhoo dance with him. Let's wait to announce this stuff until Thursday night. But if that's going to happen, it can't happen because they're talking to Woj and they're like, hey man, hang on to that scoop. It's gotta be they just kept it in house until they gave it up. Because if
he's not going to hold on to that,
he can't. He can't, because Chris Haynes might get it, Shams might get it. You can't let Chris Haynes get away.
An Oregon dude, I believe. So he
used to be he used to be Trailblazers beat writer for at least a year, and he was just so dang good at
basketball here as well.
He's considered like one of the best pickup balling beat writers out there from what I've heard.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, they don't have like a basketball reference profile to go check his stats out though. So, but you said Chris Haynes played in college?
I think he did.
Like a D2 school?
Yeah, I believe so. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think it was D2. But I think
we know some D2 ballers. So, and
that's true.
He better have not have been like a bench warmer, because we know some bench warmers, and
that's true.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good. They're more athletic than most
City
people,
guys.
But yeah. Talking about you, John Leica.
I knew that's great. Oh my god. Okay, so Carmelo signs with the Portland Trailblazers. I don't even know what to think. This is just so bizarre. Of all the places I would have thought he would go, Portland wasn't anywhere near my top 10 list. So I'm still wrapping my head around that. In terms of needing a scoring forward, yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know. I don't know how much sense it makes, but we can understand it from the perspective that the Blazers came into the year pretty much. I don't know if it was a co-decision between Terry Stotts and the front office, or if it was just the front office saying, hey, Terry Stotts, Zach Collins is your starting power forward. Deal with it and figure it out. But once Zach Collins got hurt, then we started to see how little trust and little faith Terry Stotts has in the rest of his other options at power forward right now. He put Anthony Tolliver in there, and I think I'm the biggest Anthony Tolliver apologist in the world, because I really liked what he did when he was on the Pistons.
Yes, you are.
Well, and that can be explained, but we don't need to get into too much Anthony Tolliver talk. But then they looked at Mario Hezonja, and you're looking around, you're going, Mario Hezonja is still relatively a young player. I think he's 24, maybe 25. Yeah, and every single stop he's been in, you could either make an argument that he didn't get enough opportunity, or he got the opportunity and he just didn't seize on it. So going into this year with the Blazers, I'm looking at Mario Hezonja and I'm thinking there's an opportunity there in some respects, because his competition for minutes at small forward, Rodney Hood, Kent Bazemore, some reruns, just like Mario Hezonja is a rerun.
He turns 25 in February.
I'm great at guessing ages of NBA players. But they gave Hezonja like 3 games as the starter recently, and he just crapped the bed every single night. And it's one of those situations where you're looking around and you're going, why? Why is it we know you have the talent that you can go out there and play basketball, but why, when you are given the opportunity, to seize a starting role in the NBA, Mario Hezonja, why can't you do it? Why do you falter? Why do you fail? If it's anxiety, you should check out CBD. But if it's something else, then
Dr. Kyle here on Thursday nights.
I'm not making any medical recommendations at all. But that isn't to say that some people do say that it does help with anxiety. Anyways, all these options that the Blazers were trying at power forward with Zach Collins out, not good. They threw Nasir Little into the power forward spot last night on Wednesday night. He was all right, but it's just they're losing games. I think they have 3 wins on the season already. That's it. They're desperate to make the playoffs. This is a team that thought they were a lock for the playoffs in the West this year, in many regard. And now we're looking at the Blazers and saying, can we really predict they're going to make the playoffs? I don't think a lot of people can predict that right now, or at least not with uber confidence. So when you're looking at all these different factors, and then you look at their position and who's available, then you start to say, okay, I can see why Melo ended up going to Portland, but still, it's a non-guaranteed deal. And if it doesn't work out,
see you later. Yeah, it's low risk and medium reward at best. No, I don't know. Here's what disappoints me about it. I guess with the Blazers playing so bad, my hope is that as a somewhat neutral to the situation as an NBA fan, I'm a Milwaukee Bucks fan, but live here in Portland. But I want to see CJ play somewhere else, man. I want to see CJ McCollum. I want to see him play point guard. I want to see him lead a team. I want to really see what he can do. I hate that he has to. I feel like he's so limited next to Lillard in a lot of ways, and I really want to see him run his own team. So I guess with the Blazers not playing so well, I was hoping that was like the red button that they would push. Not the sign Carmelo Anthony. I thought it would be trade CJ for someone that makes better sense next to Lillard, like a bigger wing, someone who can defend the threes. I mean, that team has no chance up against the Clippers in the playoffs as they stand or as they stood yesterday. And that really is the big thing. They had a better chance last year. Last year, I think they shot the moon. They were really lucky to be in the Western Conference Finals in a lot of aspects. And you and I talked a couple days ago. I don't think that a team that's really led by their backcourt, especially just those 2 players in a lot of ways, can win you a championship in today's NBA. And we talked about the Warriors, but that's the greatest shooting backcourt of all time. But you and I agree, I think, that I'll actually take Draymond that year over Clay. What about you?
Oh, you're talking about whether or not Draymond or Clay were particularly more important in that season?
Yeah, well, just because they were, if I were to look back in recent history of a team that was led by their backcourt, specifically their backcourt, you could go to the pre-KD Warriors championship team. But I think Draymond Green maybe would be underrated in that scenario. And I think he's a hell of a player, a one-of-a-kind player, so... I mean, really, go back.
It's tough. Look, I mean, I think you could.
It's the Pistons of the '80s. It's the late '80s, or that '88 to 1990 Pistons. That's the last team that was led by specifically their backcourt that won the NBA championship. I think you could say. Portland in the early '90s had some great backcourts, but never won the title. It's the same thing. I mean, it's Portland again with this great backcourt, but I don't think that they're gonna ever get over the hump the way the Western Conference is.
The modern era scene, especially the Golden State run, we saw a lack of dominant big men in the championship conversation, essentially. But that's also, I think it's more of a reflection of the fact that we've been living in the LeBron era, where if you were going to the finals, if you were going to try and win a championship, you had to go through him. So if you didn't have Kawhi Leonard type players, if you didn't have a Kevin Durant, if you didn't have players who can, Pascal Siakam, if you didn't have guys who were going to be able to guard those LeBron type players, those Giannis type players, those big wings, who in some respects you can call backcourt players since they're the primary ball handlers anyways.
Right.
Just because they're taller doesn't mean they're not guard style players. So I forget where I was going with this, to be completely honest with you, but yeah, I think that there's Draymond is one of the best big men from the modern era. And it's because he's a small guy. And the fact that he can still protect the rim, run the defense, switch on everything. Versatility is huge in the spread them out era because you've got to be able to move. Or, there's some teams that do find good defensive schemes that are able to drop the big back. Like you see what the Bucks do with Brook Lopez, where he drops back on everything. He contests a bunch of shots down down towards the bucket and whatnot. But then conversely on offense, he's as far away as possible from the hoop most of the time because they don't want anybody clogging the lane for Giannis.
Okay, let's get back to the Blazers for a moment.
Why are you getting us sidetracked?
Right, my bad.
To
anyway.
like old school Warriors talk too. Nobody wants to talk about the Warriors right now. And
it's over.
I am sorry. The other mission statement about this, we're not going to talk about the Knicks unless it's to talk bad about them. And we're not going to talk about the Lakers unless it's to talk bad about them. Not entirely. I love Anthony Davis. But in general, you watch a lot of those national TV shows about the sportsies, especially the NBA, and it's all, oh, what's happening on the coast? Nah, man, We're talking about the Timberwolves nightly.
Oh my God. All right. Jake Layman, baby.
Oh man. I got about 30 minutes on Jake Layman I can lay
down. That's top level content right there.
Okay. Who's better? Or who would be a better starting power forward for the Blazers? Jake Layman or Carmelo Anthony? Who would be more likely to get them to the playoffs this year? I don't think that's an easy answer.
It's not an easy answer. I really don't know. I'm really having a hard time with it. I think
Carmelo is not good. Like
Carmelo's
as much
the more fun answer, but yeah.
I wanna always, exude hope about a lot of things. But for Carmelo, I think we've seen enough to say that we know who he is, what he does, how he plays, the way he gets his points. And you're telling me that you're going to take the ball out of Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum's hands to give it to Carmelo to do some ball stopping. That's just it. Unless he's comfortable sitting in the, sitting over there and doing nothing a lot of the times and just waiting for the ball, which he hasn't been comfortable doing the last couple stops. I mean, he's tried to fit in. He has. I'll give him credit for that. Like, you go and look at his stat profile and the fact that he took more threes and all that kind of stuff. Like, he tried. He did try from a certain perspective to fit in. But, like, Carmelo, if he had agreed to be in a bench role and agreed to be a team player in the past, in the last year and a half, he would have been on another team. But that's not who he's known as. He was waiting for an opportunity to come back as a starter. And that's what he's going to do with the Blazers because it's Melo time. I don't buy it, man. I don't think he's going to help them win basketball games. Now you're adding Carmelo to Whiteside's baloney in the everywhere. I mean, Whiteside talks so much stupid stuff. And look, man, all these guys are young relatively, in life. So and they've got a big platform to share a lot of dumb ideas. And for players like Joel Embiid, it's awesome because they're funny. And even when they say stupid stuff, it's funny. But Whiteside's just he's a hothead in some respects, and he seems to be driven by his emotions, which is fine. I like people like that. They're genuine in many regard, but they can also be kind of like so full of their own baloney that they don't know it. And I think Whiteside's really full of baloney. That's a big man. That's a lot of baloney.
It's a lot of baloney. So you're saying no on the playoffs for the Blazers?
I'm having a hard time seeing it right now. I don't know if you can sugar plums. I don't know if you can see the the standings that I'm showing right now or sharing right now, but they're at the bottom of the West right at the moment, just 4-8. So is it really that hard to climb the standings right now? No, but you look at the teams above them, I think they can still beat out most of the teams here. Sacramento Kings suck. They've got Luke Walmart as the coach.
What is at some point we got to talk about these coaches that you hate for whatever reason. Fizdale and Walton are the two that come to mind.
Fizdale, he's just his own worst enemy because he goes up in front of the New York media, which is they just have so much reach. There's so many people in New York and they have a lot of social media influence. He says stuff all the time that is contradictory of his own words from the day before or the week before. He gets combative at times where it's just like, why? We're not picking fights with you over that stuff. You think we're picking fights with you over this stuff, and it's not. The reality of the situation is that you say one thing and you do the other thing all the time. So it's a matter of Fizdale in many respects being his own worst enemy, in that he just shouldn't talk to the media as much as he does, or when he does talk to them, he should be more careful about what he says. He shouldn't say, this guy is definitely our starter, and then the next game not have him starting. You're just creating all these expectations in fans' minds, in analysts' minds, in critics' minds, who are looking for a reason to tear you down, brother. So, and that's partly because, look, he's lost. It's hard to criticize a winner, but Fizdale took over this team. There's certain things that looked like obvious decisions that he should have made. Like last year, you're brought in, you've got all these young players that you should be playing. Instead, what do? You run out Emmanuel Mudiay, who's on a 1-year contract, who's not coming back to the team the next year. Like, if you can't have enough foresight to understand what your team's going to be in the future and then make decisions in the now to help influence having a better future, like that's what was missing with Fizdale last season. We saw that constantly, whether it's Mitch Robinson coming off the bench behind Noah Vonleh constantly. Dude, there's a litany of things he's done.
This is what I'm trying to say, though. If his goal is to be bad, man, is he awesome at it.
But that's not that. That's just it. Last year, they told everybody, "Hey, we're focused on our youth and building towards the future." And then what did they do? They played a bunch of guys who were on 1-year contracts who, were kind of young and maybe deserved a look on a team, but like they didn't deserve 18 straight losing games starting at point guard Emmanuel Mudiay, especially the fact that even after they got Dennis Smith Jr., they limited Dennis Smith. They didn't know how to integrate him right. It's like you're trading away Kristaps Porzingis, one of, based on his talent and what he's able to do, a top 25 player in the NBA, a number one on a team. You're trading away a number one on an NBA team, an all-star, an MVP candidate, a defensive player of the year candidate, a guy who has this ability, these talents. You're trading him away for Dennis Smith and cap relief. And then you come out too as an organization and you tell people that you're like waiting on KD. And then when KD becomes available, you say, well, we didn't want to spend the money on him because of his injury, because he didn't fit what we're building. What exactly are you building? Well, when we didn't sign KD, we decided to go out and get Julius Randle, which everybody's like, holy crap, they made a good move. They signed him to a good deal. 3 years, minimum, like a good balance of you're paying the guy, he's coming in, he's going to have a good role. You're going to see if he's still young. You're going to see if he can become one of your centerpieces of the future. He seems like a great fit next to Mitchell Robinson, who should be your starting center every night without question on this team. But he isn't, for whatever reason, with the Knicks, because Fizdale makes dumb decisions. And I could go on. And I get that's what I'm supposed to do in this show, but I just don't want to, okay? So Fizdale sucks. And if you do want a legitimate 30 minutes of me ripping on Fizdale, I promise I got it. I'm going to need more water, though. Let's talk more Jake Layman.
Jake Layman. That'll be our levity segment every night. A big 9 points and 4 rebounds from Jake.
To be fair, he's playing way too much, and he is actually getting a surprising number of blocks. But
Yeah,
I guess that happens when you're like 6'10" or whatever he is.
Yeah, 6'8", 6'9", yeah. I'm not a huge fan of his, but whatever.
We don't need to spend much time talking about Jake Layman. I don't know, Anthony. How do you feel about this as far as a first little test run of our capabilities through the StreamYard app or not app, but website and stream into YouTube? I think it's gone great so far. Obviously, we haven't been able to review it, but
I think we'll get our chance here shortly. But so far, I think it's gone really well. We got a good length, and everyone likes a good length.
You've got a good length.
Thanks, buddy. No, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad we did this. We get our little pilot on Carmelo Anthony.
Cool, man. Once again, my name is Kyle McKeown. You can find me on Twitter at RotoKyleNBA. And this is
Anthony Denu, and you can find me at Anthony Denu on Twitter.
Thank you for listening to the show. We will get this posted to YouTube's. We'll get a podcast stream going. We'll share that with everybody eventually. But if you happen to stumble upon this and found yourself saying, you know what, these guys are idiots, but they're my kind of idiots. Then hopefully we'll see you here. You can find us. Go follow me on Twitter. Go follow Anthony on Twitter. And once we get all this started, we'll start, or actually get everything up and running. We'll start bagging for all those likes and comments and whatnot that help people climb the iTunes and all those places.
All right, folks. Thanks for checking us out on the Morning Hoops podcast. We'll see you next time.
Peace.